Oh, we're starting. Oh, hey. My name is J.M. Irving, and I am the author of Britain's Bay and Mr. Postman, and the upcoming book called ELECTRIFY. I'm super excited to be talking about it today because I want to answer a few questions because I want you to know what you're getting into before you actually read it. Now let's go ahead and get started. So ELECTRIFY centers around a 28-year-old Mexican-American and scientist, Brandon Curry. He loses one of his loved ones, I believe, to the name of Sophia de Martin, and she is working in the Harbinger Tower, which you would read in the book, and she gets in the crosshairs of a battle between the Assembly and some supervillains, and they are called the Alter, which are kind of like the mutants in like the MCU. But I'm a huge MCU fan, if you can't tell. But her building falls, and it so happens that one of the main heroes of the Assembly, the superhero team, he was the one that made her building fall. So Brandon blames him, and so in his quest for revenge, he becomes an Alter, and it's not in a cool way. It's very very tragic, but the story really it's really great, and I can't wait for you guys to read it.
So how's this different from your first two books?
Well, this one, it has a lot more action, a lot more gore, a lot more horror, and I'll say a lot more thriller. Britain's Bay is more of like a kind of like spy-ish type novel where there's twists and turns, there's things that are like unveiled that are really cool. Mr. Postman is more about like a true crime, and this one kind of melds those two together, like true crime and thriller and psychological thrillers and stuff like that, suspense, and as well as superheroes. So it really brings all that stuff together. And anytime I tell somebody, that my genre of my book, I say superhero thriller, they're like, I've never heard that before, and it really makes me happy to know that because I don't want to blend it with anybody. I want to be different, and I love true crime, I love thriller, I love mystery, I love suspense, and I also love superheroes. Like I said, I am a huge MCU fan. I'm a huge fan of DC as well. I would say a little bit more Marvel, but I take a lot of inspiration from them, and I like these characters because you may find some similarities between them and some like characters in like the MCU, but they're very much their own. Like Brandon, he's very headstrong, sometimes timid. He's very kind, but also they say that kind people can be the most meanest people too. So I'm not going to spoil anything, but let's just say that things heat up in this book. And maybe even more so than my first two. So.
What can we expect from ELECTRIFY?
Well, I would say, kind of like the previous question, I was just going to say that, you can expect a lot of action, there's a lot of gore. I would say not a lot of gore, but there's enough to kind of keep you on your toes. But also, this book is very sci-fi-y, and also there are things in there that are very unexpected. Like my editor and I was sharing it with her, some of the stuff that I had written in this particular chapter, and she was like, "Is this ELECTRIFY?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "This is not. I did not expect that in this book." And so, with that, I take a lot of the things that I watch, a lot of things that I read, I include that into my writing because I'm a big believer, especially as an indie author, that whatever you write and then the characters that you create, they all have a piece of you in them. And so I think with this, it's just like the general story. It has a lot of things that I like in it. I love the MCU. I love what Kevin Feige has done. I love movies like Annihilation. I love scary movies. I love just a good whenever you're walking through a scary alley or you're walking through where how the sensor lights where you have to move in order for the light to come on. I love scenes like that where you're waiting for something to kind of jump out at you. That has a little bit of that in there as well. So like I said, I take everything that I love and I include it into this novel as well as my other ones. And
So Britain's Bay is part of a duology, and Mr. Postman is a standalone. Can you tell us if ELECTRIFY is a standalone or part of a series?
Okay, I can tell you that ELECTRIFY is the beginning of Brandon's story, and it's part of a larger series. So it's not just going to be just him. It's going to be several characters spread out across. I would say I have about like 6 books planned. 3 of them are his, and a few other characters that I want to introduce to you guys. So yes, it's part of a larger series. It's kind of like an anthology where each book has different characters, different villains, but they're all going to come together at some point and have their own book. So that's what I can tell you about this series. Yeah, it's very fast. The next book that I have coming out after this one is not going to have Brennan per se in it. It's going to be a different set of characters, but I'm really excited to release it because, like I said, I just love. I'm so inspired by so many different things that I want to make the story as big as it can be. And Brandon's story, Electrify, is just the beginning of it. So.
Why did you decide to release 5 books this year, and what can we expect from next year's slate?
So I wanted to push myself as much as I could this year. Prior to me really becoming an author, like full-fledged, was because I was a baker beforehand and a food blogger, and I kind of got overwhelmed with that. Not saying I won't ever go back to that, but I kind of got overwhelmed, and so I decided to put that aside and go back to something that I haven't really touched in a while, and that is writing. And so I finished my book in the 3rd grade, and so coming into this year, I wanted to just really push myself. And so 5 was an amount that I think that was, for me, that was reasonable. I still do work, but I want to push myself as much as I can and really kick up my career in a big way. Some people would like look back, like I say, 5-10 years from now, they can see all the progress when I first started and then have stuff to read that they didn't read before. So, and then the second question was about the slate for next year. What I can say is that you can probably expect, probably if not 5 more books, or maybe less than that, depending on the timing. But I'm a big believer that God has plans, and sometimes life happens and things change. But I do want to practice and continue to push myself. So I might still release 5 books, or maybe even like 3 to 5, maybe. But I just know that it's going to get bigger and better from here.
So when and where can I get my copy?
So you can get your copy July 22nd. It's going to be sold on barnesandnoble.com. I'm super excited to be releasing it. And it will be sold in as a hardcover copy. I really just want to be very, very basic this year. It's a regular black and white print. I will upload paperbacks as well, and also ebooks as well. And for my Amazon users, I will publish it most likely to Amazon, but just for right now, just coming out right out the gate, it's gonna be sold on Barnes & Noble. And I just love the way that they publish their books. I love the designs, but also too just how it's produced. Like, let me show you. This is Mr. Postman. It was published through BN Press, and if you're an indie author like me, and if you haven't heard of them, they really do a fantastic job. I mean, just look at the cover, look at how they, I designed the cover, but just look at how, professional it looks. And I can't wait to show you Electrify's cover because it has all the works in it. It's really, really nice as a hardcover, and I'll be showing with that soon. But thank you so much for sticking around. This is Irving signing out. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you have any other questions about my book or just about me, leave them down below wherever I'm posting this on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and I will answer them. So thank you so much.